You know, the hormone estrogen gets a really bad rap, and she doesn't need to. So stick around because I'm going to cover the top 5 101 things you need to know about estrogen. My name is Dr. Carrie Jones. I am a women's health and hormone expert and have been for a very long time. You're going to want to hit that subscribe button because I'm going to be covering the 101 of a bunch of hormones, including progesterone, melatonin, testosterone, and more. But let's jump into the 101 on estrogens because, of course, that seems to be the hormone everyone is the most confused about. Number 1, if you still cycle, most of your estrogens are made in your ovaries. Your ovaries produce boatloads of estrogen and they follow kind of a roller coaster. So if you think of a roller coaster that goes up and then it comes down, your estrogen does that. It goes up, then it goes down. You have the loop-de-loop, that's ovulation where you release the egg, and then it goes up and down again, just not quite as high. So with your menopausal, if you're menopausal, you still do make some estrogens, not as much as if you were cycling, but now you primarily make it from your fat tissue. So you have hormones called androgens, such as testosterone, yes, testosterone, that out in your system will convert into estrogens. This process is called aromatization. So it's not like when you become menopausal, you suddenly just stop making estrogen anymore. You do make a little bit, but just not as much as you were in your cycling years. Nothing can make as much as the ovaries do. Now, number 2, you have 2 main types of estrogen. The first one is called estrone or E1, and the second type is called estradiol or E2. And estradiol, that E2, is the really potent one. That's the one that we hear about a lot in the research. It's the one that impacts all 12 systems of your body. There's a third type called estriol, and while it's important, it's not as nearly as potent, and it doesn't get as talked about as much. We do love estriol, but it's estradiol that I really want to focus on. Now, estradiol has to go through what's called metabolism, or like a breakdown, a detoxification, and it gets broken down into these other compounds called metabolites. So estrogen starts out as estradiol and then goes through the nifty little detox system and gets pulled apart as it goes, and you make these metabolites. Now, these metabolites can be really quite active in your body, and they too can act estrogenic, or they can do things that are maybe more harmful for your DNA. So we really want to understand how much estrogen you make, and then of course, where is it going? And we can use things such as diet and nutrition, herbs and nutrients to help our body better go down the proper estrogen detoxification. Stay tuned. I will have a video on that because that will be its own video. But know that there are 2 main estrogens, E1 and E2. E3 is wonderful. It's not as potent, so we're not talking about it at the moment. And estrogen then has to get through the process of detoxification. Now, number 3, you may have heard all sorts of bad things around estrogen. I've seen women call it the root of all evil. For 20 years, it was decided based on the Women's Health Initiative study that estrogen causes cancer, but actually estrogen does so much good in the body. Now, I said it's on a roller coaster. It should be on a controlled roller coaster. And if it goes off the rails too high or too low, that absolutely can increase symptoms that you're having. But believe it or not, estrogen, specifically that estradiol, plays a huge role in your reproductive system, which of course makes sense, but also your cardiovascular system, your heart, your arteries. It goes your brain, your neurologic system, your immune system. Like, nobody thinks of the immune system and estrogen. You have estrogen receptors on pretty much every immune cell in your whole body. Your musculoskeletal system, it plays a huge role in your muscles, your skeletal muscle, your bones, your risk for osteoporosis and osteopenia. You have estrogen receptors in your skin. It helps you make collagen. It's in your liver. It helps you process cholesterol and all sorts of things. So by understanding that estrogen is actually not the root of all evil and in the right amounts does a world of good for the female body, really can help you understand and debunk those myths that estrogen is a problem. Now, again, as I said, if it's too high or too low, for sure, it can cause problems. But in and of itself, we need estrogen. And this is why if you are actively transitioning through perimenopause or maybe menopausal and feeling all those symptoms, the decline in estrogen, because they're not actually going and tapping on those systems I was talking about, is leading to your symptoms such as hot flashes and night sweats and weight gain. And you may have noticed your blood sugar's gone up, your cholesterol maybe has gotten worse. your brain fog is kicked in, your skin's not like it used to be, et cetera, et cetera. And so we want to make sure we understand that estrogen plays a really positive role in that whole system. It is not the root of all evil. And surely by now, we have largely debunked the myth that it is single-handedly the reason for cancer, for breast cancer in particular. We know that not to be true at all anymore. And in fact, now research is really pushing into how helpful estrogen in the right amounts can be in the body. Now, number 4 is not specifically about estrogen, but estrogen mimicking chemicals. And oh my goodness, I think this gets unfortunately overlooked, especially when it comes to breast cancer, because everybody is talking about the estrogen receptor and being estrogen receptor positive. And therefore, for 20 some years, the assumption based on that unfortunate study was that estrogen was the cause, when it turns out thousands of chemicals can act like estrogen and bind to that same receptor. So this is why you will probably hear me talking a lot about reducing those estrogenic type toxicants that are in your life or that you get exposed to, just really to reduce risk. Well, why is that? So these chemicals, so think of like fragrance, artificial synthetic fragrance. Think of your ingredients in your skincare or your cleaning products or your laundry detergent, herbicides and pesticides in agriculture, either in your yard or maybe the farm next door. These phthalates, these plasticizers, these parabens, they can bind to the estrogen receptor and activate them. Now, unfortunately, they can overactivate them. They can change gene expression, which is what we don't want per se. So when we look at these chemicals and we take these chemicals into account, that's why I push so hard on, hey, let's start talking about detoxification, and let's talk about if we can reduce our exposure to these chemicals in our life. Are you reading labels of what you use for detergent, what you use to put on your face, what you use as part of your deodorant? Or are you drinking out of water bottles all the time? Are you heating up in plastic or putting plastic wrap over food and then popping it into the microwave? Just these simple tricks of trying to minimize your exposure can go a long way in your body to not overactivate the estrogen receptor, because I don't want you coming and saying, oh my gosh, my periods are heavy and my PMS is bad, or I'm having all these symptoms, and lo and behold, it's not your own estrogen. It's actually all these chemicals that are causing a problem. And these chemicals are getting discussed more and more, especially as additives and things such as our fragrance and plugins and detergents and skincare and herbicides and pesticides and et cetera. It's making more mainstream news because scientists are realizing, and probably have for a while, but are just now talking about it, the impact that it's having. Even the water bottles, the microplastics in water bottles are more significant in number than they originally thought when they first originally did the research. So do start to pay attention to these things. Do start to read labels, choose greener products, start to avoid that synthetic fragrance and the plugins, the perfumes, etc. The scented detergents, the scented dryer sheets. Just be aware of all of that and its effect on your hormones. Now that leaves us with number 5. So speaking of estrogen receptors, when estrogen, your own estrogen, estradiol, binds to the estrogen receptor, it actually needs a few key nutrients to make this happen, and they don't get talked about enough. Now I'm just going to touch on a few. So some big ones are zinc and B6. The active form of B6 is called P5P. There are other nutrients, but zinc is really, really important, and P5P helps modulate how long estrogen does or doesn't stay in the receptor and do its thing. And think of how many people maybe are zinc deficient. In fact, I was just reading the other day, according to the National Institutes for Health, the NIH, that zinc is the number 2 mineral humans are deficient in the United States. Adults are deficient in. So the number 2. Now zinc gets a lot of press around the immune system, but completely forgetting it's required in all of our hormone receptors. So if you are, maybe ask your practitioner to get tested for zinc, or make sure that you are getting zinc in your food or getting zinc in your multivitamin or adding extra zinc in. The same goes for vitamin B6. Again, the active form that we like is called P5P, pyridoxal 5-phosphate. P5P in the estrogen receptor helps pull estrogen in and do its job, make sure it's there long enough so that the expression can happen appropriately. If you don't have enough B6, then it's going to be kind of a hot mess and you're going to feel it. You've probably heard of B6 as one of the supports for PMS or one of the supports for sore, tender breasts. It's a support for fertility. It's a support for women going through perimenopause. And a big reason for that, besides all the other things B6 does in the body, is that P5P, that active form, plays such a big role in the receptor and estrogen binding. So those are your top 5 101 information around estrogen that I want everybody to learn and to understand. Estrogen is such an important hormone, especially as you're going through perimenopause and menopause, and it is declining. So by understanding it does impact all 12 systems of the body, does help explain maybe some of the signs and symptoms that you are experiencing as you're having this transition. And understanding that, you know, it's really time, if you haven't yet, to start reading labels and trying to eliminate or minimize those estrogenic chemicals is best that you can. It really does make an impact in your health in the long term. So again, you want to hit that subscribe button. Stay tuned for other videos that I'll have about progesterone, melatonin, testosterone, etc., because the 101 is just not taught in school, and that's what I'm here for. I am here to help you understand hormones. They can feel like herding cats, and I feel like this is something we should have learned a long time ago. So we're going to learn it now, and we're going to talk about it together.